Ant-Man and the
Fuck
Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is fine.
It's a bit like it does good slapstick, but it doesn't do the serious nearly as well as the first Ant-Man. Like the villains are all over the place, and it boils down to a game of hot potato. It's not a film that I would go back and watch.
Its placement in the chronology is also a little bit wacky because, like, you obviously have it after Infinity War because of the post-credit scene, but the post-credit scene is literally the only tie-in thing to what's happening everywhere else. For the main movie itself, you could have had it before Infinity War. It would have probably had a bigger impact. I think, considering what else we've got on here, it has to be B tier.
I am happy with that.
As long as you don't rate it higher than the first one.
Oh no, God no, the first one's way better.
Oh no.
Captain Marvel,
Here we go.
The film isn't terrible, though the way they characterize Carol, she's very kind of bland. She's much better in the back half of the film, and it's satisfying to see her take out the Kree and everything. But you have, due to a combination of things, with her being so wooden throughout the first half of it.
Carol Danvers is meant to be a very charismatic character, but yet in this, she's a plank of wood.
By having Ronan as one of the big bads in this, also takes the stakes away because you know he's not going to die until way later. When they do a second one, I hope that they have a bit more fun with it.
I enjoy her fighting, like the action is good again, you know, as we say, it's a Marvel movie.
Is the action good?
I like it.
Yeah, it's fine, but like it's definitely not on the other action levels here. You know, like Black Panther, for example, is fantastic with its action. It's so fluid and everything, but
I would put it at C.
I'm inclined to agree.
I'm completely happy with that. Like, I'm happy with there being a female superhero. I just don't think she's done well at all in anything.
I think it's the execution, as you say, and like the implementation. Like, if you put her in more, or like or not even more, but like have what she has in the first place be used properly, I guess.
No, I know what you're saying, yeah.
It's a C tier then, is it?
Yeah.
Endgame!
Wait, what did you just say? We're going from like Infinity War here, and in like Endgame, Thanos is just not as cool. He's not as captivating. The very stereotype of what a Marvel villain is, and it's like, okay, I know it's younger Thanos, like still kind of like the asshole, but
as amazing as Endgame's finale is, it's not as good as Infinity War. Can we all agree on that?
Lawrence is definitely not. What you prefer Endgame over Infinity War?
I love that final battle and the emotional beats that hit after. It's beautiful.
It is, but there's still another whole 2 hours of content.
Image of the film of Cap finally getting that dance with Peggy. Oh, it's kiss.
Let's just put it at S tier. Because within that tier, regardless.
I'm not against that, to be honest. Fine, S tier. I'm fine with that.
I think it's on par with Infinity War because it's meant to be different. It's not meant to live up to the same scale. It's a completely different type of film, but it exists in symbiosis with Infinity War because realistically you can't watch one without watching the other. They are meant to be watched back to back. It was shot back to back, you know, they are the same product.
Yeah, like the final battle, like Steve being worthy and like
the portal sequence, come on.
I think I'm gonna touch on what Lawrence might say about Thor, is that like his depression isn't just cured as soon as he lifts the hammer. Because they could have so easily just turned him back to old Thor as soon as he touches the hammer. But, like, he's still, even after that, even after finding out that he's still worthy, he still suffers with the depression. And, like, you see where he comes from.
I don't think Thor is that good in Endgame. I think he's just a joke.
It's all about, he's just had his greatest failure at the end of Infinity War. How do you recover from knowing that it's basically on your head that the universe is as fucked up as it is because you couldn't do the one thing that could stop it. So what do? You go into depression, and it's a story about recovery for him. It's not him being a joke.
We have the character that is just kind of played off as a joke. I completely agree with you, Lawrence. Yes, if we're looking at this from an analytical point of view, yes, he is suffering with depression. But like his whole character throughout the film is just coming off as a joke. He sits at home, he's playing video games, bro, and like raging at kids. I just don't think he's done that well. God, Iron Man, his fucking goodbye. I don't think there's gonna be a better goodbye for a Marvel character than that.
Spider-Man Far From Home.
B, C tier.
I think B.
Weirdly enough, Iron Man has more presence in this film than he did in the film when he was alive. I cannot get my head around a stupid decision on Tony's part to leave killer satellite drones for Peter.
Is that like the point of the film? Is that like it is just literally him being an idiot with like all this technology that's left of him, and then at the end of the it's his character development, isn't it? At the end of the film, like he's like, you have Iron Man's assistant looking at Peter making his armor, like, yeah, you are Iron Man. Which at the end of the day, again, guys, he basically is at this point. Like, I think that's the point of the film, though, isn't it? Like, this is a stupid kid left with a lot of technology and grows to use it responsibly.
In doing that, it kind of stops being a Spider-Man film.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree.
I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man. We just don't get enough of him without him being supplemented by everyone else. The whole pitch of Peter's character from a concept point was that he's supposed to be relatable. He's supposed to be street level. He's supposed to be working class level. He's struggling and going through all these issues that kids have. Even though Tom Holland kills it in the role, the stories the character has been given in the MCU have done the character a disservice because they're removing some of those defining obstacles from him by having him integrated into the MCU lore.
I'm happy with B, actually. Fuck that film.
Yeah, B could, in contrast to maybe some of you, I like the idea of him having to sort of live up to a legacy. I like the whole idea as well of him mourning the loss of a friend or a father figure. I enjoy the relationship he initially has with Mysterio, and they got J.K. Simmons back because it would be a disservice to cast anyone else.
I love the fact that they got Samuel L. Jackson to play not Nick Fury.
Homecoming, I think, is the better film. Far From Home, it's reasonably strong.
Now, Black Widow, I would
say I need to detach myself because I haven't seen either of these next two.
So careful what you say, you two.
Black Widow, I would put that in B tier.
I think it's fine. It doesn't do anything amazing, and I think it's B's detractor. It's very basic.
Maybe short of Malekith, I think it has one of the weakest villains of any of the MCU films. He's absolutely detestable, don't get me wrong, but there's just not enough of him to really chew on. What the film does do really well, it has a really good cast of protagonists. Red Guardian just carries every scene he's in.
Yelena's got a lot of potential going forward. And knowing where she's going to turn up next, as I do, and as I'm sure you do as well, it's going to be very interesting to see the repercussions of that.
If it had come out sooner within the MCU, would it fit better?
Yes.
It's similar to Ant-Man and the Wasp, where the only connective tissue to other things really is the post-credits scene. Like how Ant-Man and the Wasp could have easily existed before Infinity War, Black Widow could have easily existed before Infinity War itself, apart from the post-credits scene, because the post-credits scene is intricately linked to two of the Disney Plus shows.
You really get to see Natasha at her absolute best.
I am a sucker for skydive sequences. I love that shit. But I've gone on about this before, but the credit sequence at the beginning and that cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit is beautiful, and I love that, and I've got addicted to that cover of it.
it bounces really well between some really dark themes in it and the humor as well. It never seems too jarring. Everything lands the way it's meant to.
Tell you what, the stunt work in this film is crazy good, though. But on the list, I think it's solid B because it's better than anything in C. Up against some of the things in B, like Ant-Man, for example, Spider-Man, Thor, Black Panther, it might struggle with. So B. I mean, Shang-Chi.
It feels very unique amongst all the others, not just because of the Eastern aesthetic, but because the Mandarin in this is such a relatable villain. And I think he's probably right up there with Loki and Thanos in terms of like his motivation. The way they've kind of redone the actual 10 rings, also really interesting and has some interesting implications going forward as to what might be going on there.
When you stop and think about it, the Mandarin is basically Darth Vader.
It also blends pretty well into like the world that Doctor Strange set up as well.
I think that the fight choreography and everything's beautiful in it. I think the supporting cast is really good. I don't think it sticks its landing though. I think in the third act it falls apart.
I couldn't really put my finger on. Wait, so is this the third act? Is this the middle?
Mandarin and Shang's their story builds up and builds up and builds up to this epic, pinnacle, and its build up is great. But then when it reaches that pinnacle, I think it falls completely flat. I think it's the result because there's a certain trope that when it's so difficult to put into words to avoid spoilers, but there's a trope regarding the thematic of redemption where a villain reaches redemption at the last possible minute and then something happens. I'm trying to choose my words so very carefully.
Anthony, just mute us for a second. We're assuming you're muted, by the way. 3, 2, 1...
Mandarin gets Vadered.
He gets Vader. His story is just completely Vader because his whole thing is about trying to bring his wife back from the dead. And then he reaches his entire story is also a father-son relationship like it is with Luke. And then at the very end, he reaches redemption only to be immediately killed.
There were dragons in it, but not the synonymous Marvel dragon, which was interesting. Maybe they're saving him for later.
The whole stuff with the dragons, I lost it at that point. That's just when it got too ridiculous for me.
Shang-Chi keeps the 10 rings, and apparently no one, not even the sorcerers or the Avengers or anyone, knows what these things actually are. They have a Skype call at the end looking at just going over what the rings may or may not be. And Bruce is currently not Smart Hulk.
That didn't actually occur to me when watching it. It was only after watching it that I suddenly went, wait a minute.
So where are you putting it, though? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if Anthony's here or not. Where are you putting it?
A or B tier?
B, I think. I don't think it deserves A. I'd say it's probably on par with Black Widow.
So basically, Anthony, Shang-Chi's gay for Iron Man.
Ooh, that's what I thought. That's what I saw online anyways.
Sorry to ruin it for you.